This experience happened when I was 6 years old. I was strangled with a rope by my stepmother. My heart had stopped and I was taken to the nearest hospital. The doctors took first aid measures to get my heart beating again. But after a while, my heart stopped again. Then I was pronounced dead. During this whole process, I stood next to my body and watched. I felt very relaxed, which was a relief for me. My life before felt like I was in hell. I was forced to eat food off the floor. My stepmother once poured a cup of hot coffee on my hand, leaving me with permanent scars. There are so many other things like that, I don't want to remember the experience. As I stood next to my body, I was relieved that the pain had left me. I became aware of a light appearing next to me. I heard a voice say, "Follow them." I turned to see my father and the doctor leaving the room. I followed them. We walked down a hallway and stopped at an office. They walked in and the doctor and father started arguing. The voice reappeared, "Are you ready?" "Ready for what?" "Who are you?" I asked it. "Don't you know?" "I don't know." I was confused as to why it would ask these questions. It replied, "Call it whatever you want." It explained, "Most people call it an angel or a guide." He took me by the hand and left the place. We appeared on a strange planet. The plants here were very tall and we were standing at the bottom of the plant. Its leaves were constantly swaying back and forth. Their leaves were golden and glowing. Not far away, I saw very wonderful creatures. They were tall and thin, their faces were narrow and they looked very elegant. I knew that this was a different world, one that was completely covered with water. They lived their whole life in the current. We moved deeper, where there were more strange creatures. These creatures are very similar, but less evolved. They were gentle and they surrounded us in groups. They were of a strange color, a color I cannot describe. Strangely enough, I could not remember this color once I returned to my human body. These creatures live in the dark. A place where the light of the sun cannot reach. They make strange sounds, which are very high-pitched, but these sounds are not painful. These creatures sing with these beautiful, high-pitched voices that travel through the water. Then I heard other creatures of my kind singing from far away. Led by them, we arrived at their home. It was beehive-shaped caves. We swam in these caves. Some of the caves were inhabited by tiny beings that grew in small, hard shells. Some were huge, ancient beings. They grow huge conical shells and eat the plants in the water. The angel reminds me that it's time to leave. Then we went into space and traveled between planets. The angel took me to another planet. There were 2 suns on this planet. One sun was golden and the other sun was pale white. It was much bigger than our sun. This planet had huge cities where nothing was like Earth. There are magnificent buildings and huge plants. They are not built, but more like plants growing out of them. They are full of life. There is not only highly intelligent life here, but also reptiles. They build their nests on the huge roofs. They can glide from one roof to another. Their bodies are similar to those of flying squirrels, but their faces are more like those of ants. The life that lives there is full of joy. Some of them have golden yellow skin. They are somewhat similar to humans, but their faces are more rounded in profile. I wished to go closer, but was stopped by the angel. I was taken to another planet, where the houses were far apart from each other. These people were not like the intelligent species I had imagined. They were not bipedal, their feet were more like hands. They made their hands into fists and ran hard. They didn't look like horses or any earthly creatures. These people are happy and live in harmony. They fit in very well with the planet they live on. There are 2 other intelligent species there, and all 3 species live together, working together in a strange way. They saw us and welcomed our arrival. It was a very harmonious sight. We bowed and sent them our blessings. As we walked from one place to another, I saw all kinds of gorgeous sights. Another reason I rarely talk about my experience is that it makes me even more eager to return to it. Then, this angel brought me to God. I stood there feeling an intense love. I asked him, "Where are we now?" He said, "We are between life and death." He told me, he already knew the pain I had experienced before I came here. I asked him why he had let the violence continue, why he had not made it stop. I remember that when I questioned him, he couldn't help but shed tears. God held me. "I have felt every bit of your pain." "Then why didn't you stop it? You could have struck her down at any time, why?" He didn't answer, he just held me tighter. I finally stopped struggling. I can't remember the last time I experienced this kind of love. God looked up and I knew from the look in his eyes that I had to go back. "I know you want to stay here, but you can't just yet." "Why?" "I don't want to go back, I don't want to go through this pain again." "You won't go through this hurt again," he assured me. "You have to go back, your story isn't over." I continued to cry because I didn't want to go back home, I just wanted him to let me stay there. God gave me one last hug and told me that he would be here waiting for me. I didn't have to plead again and soon I was back. I woke up from my hospital room with a police officer standing next to me. While the doctors were treating me, they realized I had been abused for a long time and called the police. I recovered and lived with my grandfather. This gave me the feeling of being loved, and although this love could not surpass the love from God, I was very content. My stepmother was convicted of attempted murder. After she was locked up, she tried to write to me asking for forgiveness. I still don't want to forgive her, and the damage she did to my psyche was enormous. I wonder what I would be doing now if God hadn't shown up then.